This is the Super Sports Schools podcast, bringing you stories of our future stars, powered by Spur Steak Ranchers.
1, 2, 3, go!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Super Sports Schools podcast brought to you by Spur. I'm Alex White. This Women's Month, we've been focusing on girls and women's sport here on the podcast. And if you know anything about the World Cups we had last year, our women's teams were doing really well. Football, netball, and especially in the T20 Cricket World Cup at the start of the year, where they narrowly lost in the final to Australia. Women's cricket is the topic today, girls cricket specifically. And we have a very interesting story about a school in South Africa that is punching well above its weight and changing the narrative around girls cricket in South Africa. To help me discuss that, I'm joined by Middelburg's head of cricket, Alti Nel. Alti, welcome to the show. I think just to start us off, can you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, I'm Alti Nel from Middelburg High School. I'm the girls cricket coach and I enjoy cricket a lot.
It's so exciting to have you here. And I think to start off, I'm just going to contextualize why. For anybody who might not know what the landscape in South Africa looks like, the pathways for cricket. Because at the moment, if you are a Protea playing in the men's team, you're likely to have come from one of only 30 or 40 different schools. I think something like 80 to 90% of the men's Proteas come from 30 to 40 different schools. Whereas in the girls' game, in the women's cricket, they come mainly from clubs, not from schools, because schools simply aren't playing cricket as much. But at Middelburg, there's something very different there. And you have big teams, big participation, more than most other schools across the country. So I think that's really the context that I want to have this discussion in, that Middelburg is really trailblazer in this field. What is the history of girls cricket at the school? When did it start? Has it always been there, or is it relatively new?
Well, it's always been there, but we stopped for a while and then we started last year again. I think when I started there as a teacher at Middelburg High School, we started at 2007, I think. And so the cricket was good. Some of the years we played final in the Mpumalanga competition. So yeah, it's been good. But the last 2 years, we're really focusing on doing it better and increasing a lot of participation in the sport by girls.
It's so cool that that's something that you're doing, especially in Mpumalanga, where there already are fewer cricketing schools. What is the participation like from the girls? Is it something they buy into? Are they excited about it?
Very excited. Each year they would come to me a month or two before. Ma'am, when are we going to start with the cricket? I can't wait. So it's good. It's nice to see the girls are buying into it.
100%. And how many different cricket fields does the school have? Just to give us some idea of the size, the scale. People at home who might not have heard of Middelburg or might have heard of it but don't really know how big the school is.
Well, the amount of children in our school is 1,400 students. So we've got, it's a big school, yeah. We've got cricket oval, we've got indoor nets. We also got under dak nette. And it's good facility for the cricket in our town.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And in the school community, it's really cool that you have that infrastructure there, that they're able to practice, play with facilities that maybe in the past only people going to boys' school would have access to those sorts of things, nets, ovals like that, unless you go to a club for girls, which many people across the country have to do. So has that always been the case at Middelburg, that everyone's been using those facilities together?
Yes, definitely. So both boys and girls use those facilities.
That's so cool. And then in terms of number of teams, are you able to put together a first team? Is that what the goal is, or in the future do you want to expand to even more teams?
Yeah, for now it's just one team, the first team, but we want to expand definitely. We have enough girls that would like to participate in cricket in the near future.
And then give me some idea about the sort of opposition that you're facing in Mpumalanga, because your situation is quite unique. So is it sometimes hard to find fixtures and other schools to play against?
Luckily, it's not that hard. In Mpumalanga, there's a lot of girls cricket going around. We have a league where we have 2 pools, and then we play 5 pool games, and then we do semis and then Mpumalanga final.
I think that's so exciting because in where I come from in the Western Cape, I have friends family friends. I can think of one. She's about 13 years old. She absolutely loves cricket. She goes to a co-ed school and she could play up until grade 7. But then from grade 8, it's also quite a small school. From grade 8, she was the only girl who wanted to play cricket. And so she couldn't anymore. When they're younger, they can play in mixed teams.
Yeah.
But then there aren't enough players for her to have a team. So if she wanted to play, she'd have to join a club. And the nearest club is so far away that with everything else she does, it's just not possible. So to hear that in Mpumalanga, they've more than one school with girls' teams playing often, playing in the league, with pools, everything like that, that's amazing. And I think it's really a template.
Yeah, there's about 18 schools or 18 teams in our league for this year. So it's big in Mpumalanga.
How many years has the league been going?
Well, I know about it for the last 2 years, but it's been the last 2 years we've been participating, but I think it's a few years it's been going on.
Wow. And how successful has Middelburg been?
Well, last year we narrowly dropped out with the semi-final.
Oh, okay.
So we did good, and then we lost, unfortunately, in the semi-final.
But looking to keep going.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, to keep going.
Yeah.
And then the formats that the girls are playing, are you playing T20s, 50 overs, sort of time limit games? How does that work?
Yeah, we play T20 games. Usually we leave school at 1 and then we drive to the opponent school and then start the match.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what I remember when I played at school. I wasn't very good, so I only ever played T20s. Those different formats were usually reserved for our first teams on a weekend if they could give up their entire Saturday for it, or multiple days even. And then at the matches that you're having, the community, are they buying into it as well, coming out to support? I imagine this country's so sporting mad that everybody loves it.
Yeah, we get a lot of support and we enjoy having our family around there.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And the girls, no Proteas yet for Middelburg, but I think it's on its way, the first Protea. Any girls that at the moment are standing out?
We've got one girl, Ashley Barnard. She's 15 years old now. She's been playing for the ladies under 18 or open team, Mpumalanga provincial. Really good. She averages about 53 with the bat.
Wow.
And she's quick with the ball as well, bowling.
So it's a good all-rounder.
Definitely.
And at 15 already in the under-18 provincial side, that's remarkable.
Yeah, definitely.
Averaging 53, she seriously knows what she's doing then. So that's someone exciting to look out for.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. And then in terms of coaches, is it just you? What's that like?
At the girls, it's just me.
Yeah.
Then there would be a young student that they would appoint with me yearly. And then like last year, they had Kyle Kirsty who helped me, and he did the umpiring and stuff like that. But we try to invest in good coaches at our school to improve our cricket.
It's brilliant. So I think what we've done now is really set the scene that Middelburg is doing some cool things, and Mpumalanga has a really thriving girls cricketing system at the moment compared to the rest of the country. Yeah. So we're going to go to a little game now, but when we come back, I'm going to ask you a little bit more about your advice for other schools around the country, that sort of thing. But we're going to start with the more or less game. Basically, I'm going to give you a phrase that sort of asks you to say if something is more or fewer, bigger, smaller than something else, and you just have to tell me that. It will make more sense if you haven't watched the show before as we start. So, ready to go?
Ready.
Cool. The first one, French swimmer Marchand won gold and broke the Olympic record in more or fewer than 2 Olympic swimming events this year.
I'd say fewer.
It was actually more. And it was I think this was a record in itself. 4 events, 200-meter breaststroke, 200-meter butterfly, 200-meter individual medley, 400-meter individual medley. He won gold and broke the Olympic record in all 4. So I don't think that's happened before.
No.
But there's some nice trivia. Okay, now one that was from the 100 meters. South Africa's Benjamin Richardson ran a time of 9.95 in the Olympic 100-meter semi-final. This was unfortunately not enough to qualify him for the final. But how many times before this year has a runner run 9.95 or quicker and not qualified for the Olympic final? Is it more or fewer than twice?
I'd say more.
It's actually fewer.
Fewer.
It was the first time it had ever happened. Never before has someone run 9.95 and not made the final. So it just showed how quick that final was.
Yes.
Cool. Next one. See, I love these because I always learn so much. Tatiana Smith has retired from competitive swimming. But does she end her career with more or fewer than 2 Olympic medals?
More.
Yeah, correct. 2 gold for the 200-meter breaststroke in 2020, 100-meter breaststroke in 2024, and then 2 silver for the 200-meter breaststroke in 24 and 100-meter breaststroke in 2020. So she, at the moment, is our most successful Olympian, active Olympian. Right, then a cricket one. In cricket, are there more or fewer than 6 methods of dismissal? More or fewer than 6 ways to go out?
I'd say more.
Yep, there are more. There are 10, in fact. I won't put you on the spots and make you name all of them, but I'll run through them very quickly. Bowled, caught, LBW, stumped, run out, hit wicket, timed out, obstructing the field, hit the ball twice, and retired out, which is different to retired injured. Some people might have heard of handling the ball, but that used to be a separate one. It's now part of hit the ball, obstructing the field. So there used to be 11, they're now 10. But you probably only ever see 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
So realistically, but there we go. 2 right in a row there. For the first time, Novak Djokovic won gold for the Olympic men's singles in tennis. But how many times has he played at the Olympics? Is it more or fewer than 4 times?
I'd say fewer.
More?
More.
It was his 5th time and only the first time he's won gold for the singles. I was quite surprised.
Yeah.
He's been, I think maybe tennis players, you can go to more Olympics than the swimmers or the athletes. Last one. This year, has South Africa won more or fewer Olympic medals than Tokyo 2020?
I'd say more.
Yeah, it is more. There were only 3 in 2020, and we're already on 4. There we go. See, not that hard. Done and dusted.
Bringing you the sport you care about the most, this is the Super Sports Schools Podcast.
Come on, wake up now. Who got something? Wake up now. Sequilatos Scott. Wake up now. Who got my senior? Get up and go.
With 15 delicious breakfasts, Spur is the place to be until 11 every morning. Enjoy an unreal breakfast for just $56.90. Spur, people with a taste for life.
Wake up now. Come on, yeah.
Bringing you the sport you care about the most, this is the Super Sports Schools Podcast.
I'm now going to ask you, I think, about Middelburg as a template for other schools around the country. And I think to start with that, what do you think have been the biggest challenges for girls' cricket at Middelburg?
I would say the time, because some of the girls would also like to do hockey as well. And then sometimes it will overlap. So the time for practices would be the biggest issue, if we can say it's an issue.
Yeah.
So the girls can participate in both sports. Yeah.
And as the seasons sort of overlap at the end of winter, start of summer, at the end of summer, start of winter, that can cause some of the issues there. So overcoming that, is that just good time management from the girls? And
yeah, I think it would be just good time management. Some hockey or hockey teams will go further than other hockey teams, and then they would overlap. But normally it should be fine, and then as well as fast 5 netball, so then it will start as well. So it's just time management between the girls and me around the coaching sessions and so on.
So obviously there are challenges, but they're things that you can overcome.
Yeah.
For the other schools around South Africa, girls' schools, co-ed schools, any school really that could have cricket for girls but doesn't, I think schools that already have infrastructure in place for boys, maybe it's a bit easier for them to start girls' cricket as well. But what would you say to those schools? Why is it something that they absolutely should do?
I would say the amount of girls that have the potential to play Proteas in this year alone, I would say is enormous. And if they can just have a chance to participate, and it shouldn't be a situation where you don't want to do more effort for your school. They need to get coaches, they need to empower the girls to do better and to try and make Proteas.
And so do you think to get started, other than obviously net pitches, good coaches is a key part of that?
Yeah, coaches definitely. And then the coach shouldn't be just the person that needs to go and do it. They should have a passion for it as well.
Absolutely. And I think one of the big challenges then is actually if one school's going to start up but no other schools near it are playing, it's difficult if you don't have matches.
Yeah.
Has Middelburg been lucky in always being able to compete against other schools, or was there a time where there wasn't competition?
No, we always had competition, so we're lucky in that situation.
Yeah, I think that might be the sort of biggest challenge. But if schools start and then other schools in the area see that and also start, maybe for a first season it's just sort of internal, but as other schools pick it up, I think that's sort of the direction to go in. And I'm hoping that other people hear this story, the story of Middelburg, and are inspired by it. When girls come to Middelburg, when they join, when they start out, do they get told about all the different sports that the school has to offer? And sometimes are the girls, do you think, trying out to maybe have never played cricket before?
Yeah, some girls will come to our school because of the girls' cricket, especially. Then other girls will just hear, okay, there's girls' cricket, let me just try it out. And then some of them, like Thursday's trials, some of them don't or didn't know how to play cricket. So yeah, it was something new for them.
So some haven't played before, some have played, but they're all excited and eager to learn. And you spoke about that passion that coaches need, and you obviously have that, and it sounds like the whole team behind girls cricket at Middelburg has that passion. How do you, I think, stay positive, stay so passionate, especially when there are more obstacles for girls cricket in South Africa than boys cricket?
I would say you should make a goal for yourself each year. What do you need or what do you want to achieve, and then work towards that goal. If you just want to make sure you win at least 2 games of the 5, or if you want to achieve something better, like winning Mpumalanga, that's what we want to do. We want to win Mpumalanga Cup.
I was going to ask you, so that's the goal for this year?
Definitely.
Absolutely. It's locked in.
Yes.
And actually, I forgot to ask this earlier, but in that Mpumalanga Cup, do you have a sort of main rival? Is there a derby cricket match?
Hoërskool Hertzog, Generaal Hertzog, they're always good. So they are definitely a derby match that we need to and want to win this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what the main Middelburg big derby is. Cool. So we're learning about the sort of lay of the land in Mpumalanga. But now I did ask you about some of the biggest challenges that you have faced with the girls and the scheduling and that sort of thing. But outside that, girls cricket, sort of only recently have we seen it mainstream on TV. The World Cup last year did a lot of good for the sport. Newlands was sold out for that final.
Yeah.
Are there external obstacles to it still, I imagine, with far more boys playing cricket in South Africa and it may be still seen as a men's sport? Are there those difficulties still?
by us at Middelburg, the only difficulty is that we only have game time on Wednesdays because all the other age group with the boys, they also need game time. So Wednesdays will be the girls' game day, and then all our matches will be then scheduled according to that. So if we don't have the Wednesday available at our school, then we need to travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it really sounds like it's actually doing really well at Middelburg. It's really positive. And you say obviously scheduling around the other sports, the boys playing. Are there more boys playing cricket?
Yeah, we've got
in
under
numbers?
14 boys, we've got under 15 boys, and then first team boys.
Okay,
And,
so they're playing a few more more matches as well. Do they ever do the girls and boys encourage each other? Is there sort of, because they're all playing for the same school, good camaraderie and positive atmosphere there?
Yeah, but there's a good atmosphere at training. They'll help each other, and some of the boys will help some of the girls and say, no, listen, you need to do this when you're bowling, or maybe step towards the ball when batting. Yeah. So it's a good atmosphere.
It really sounds like a positive environment's been fostered at Middelburg, and I think with you obviously are so passionate about it. To any girls out there who are watching, who maybe have only recently discovered cricket, or they watched the World Cup last year, they saw Laura Wolfhard batting and they thought, this is what I want to do one day, or they saw a really fast ball that just took the stumps out the ground and they think, this is what I want to do. What's your message to them to take up cricket?
I'd say try and live out your dream. Go for it. Don't worry about people judging, and just enjoy it. And if you've got the passion and you've got the talent, you can make it.
Perfect. In the next couple of years, where'd you like to see Middelburg going?
I would hope to see 2 or 3 girls teams entered in the league. Yeah, that would be good.
Next year, if we get you back, we're going to hear there's been another team added, hopefully.
I hope so.
Hopefully, okay.
Then we need to get some more coaches, yeah.
Well, that's always exciting. If you're expanding, if you're getting more teams, you can add coaches in.
Yeah.
And I think as word gets out and as it gets bigger, there'll be more and more people interested.
Definitely.
Hopefully. Yeah, so I think that's just such a great environment that's been created at Middelburg. You mentioned earlier, I think just the last question I want to ask you before we go to the quiz. You mentioned earlier that there's the oval, and then you also mentioned that girls and boys, the scheduling has to be all sorted out properly. So do they play on the same sort of first team field? Is there main first team field, or is it just a couple different ones?
No, there's a first team, there's one oval.
Yeah.
Everyone plays on it.
Okay.
Then you have the under-roof nets where we've got some coaching by Benjamin van Niekerk, which has his own cricket academy.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then the rest of the nets is there for the boys and girls, and so we all use them. And also we've got indoor as well, where we can go in and use the bowl machine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So there's really great infrastructure there. It sounds like an awesome opportunity for everyone to get into cricket. So we're excited to see how that season goes on Supersport Schools. Oh, and talking about Supersport Schools, obviously Supersport Schools is, Middelburg is a Supersport Schools school. That's a bit of a mouthful, but have you noticed an impact with that on the players just across sports, being streamed on TV? How's that impacted? And also with coaching?
Oh, it's a really nice opportunity to see your team perform on Supersport Schools. You know, to go back and to see what you did good in that match, or what you can do better on the next one. So yeah, it has a really good impact on our schools. We enjoy it, and it's convenient for our coaches and for the parents as well.
Cool. All right. There, I think we have a nice overview of Middelburg, and I think what makes it special is definitely just the passion and the really positive environment that's there. Everybody's happy to play, excited to play. And I think if that can spread to the rest of the country, we'll continue to have a really strong women's national side, but also hopefully trickling through to some of the club sides and all over the country. So thank you so much for that. We're going to go to the quiz now. 60 seconds on the clock. You just need to answer as many questions correctly as you can. The highest score at the moment is 8. Average is only around 4 to 6. 4, 5, 6 is a very common ballpark. Today's quiz, we have some cricket questions, some Olympic questions. It's a real mixed bag. If you don't know an answer, just say pass and we'll go to the next one. Okay. Cool. Are you ready to play?
I'm ready.
On behalf, you've come in the blazer, so you're representing Middelburg. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time starts now. Which city will host the 2028 Olympic Games?
Pass.
It's Los Angeles. Last year, the women's Proteas became the first SA cricket team in a World Cup final. At which stadium was the final played?
Pass.
Newlands. Which women's Proteas batter holds the record for scoring the most runs in a match on the losing side in ODIs?
Ranka.
It's Laura Wolfart. In rugby, what does URC stand for?
United Rugby Championship.
Correct. What is the name of Durban's SA20 team?
Dolphins.
Durban Supergiants. In rugby, what general position is usually associated with the number 6 or 7? Is it flank or lock?
Flank.
Correct. True or false? Akani Simbine's Olympic 100-meter final time of 9.82 set a South African national record.
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct. True or false? Former Banyana player Janine van Wyk is the most capped South African footballer of all time.
False.
It's true. Which of the following is not currently an Olympic sport? Skateboarding, squash, or speed climbing?
Squash.
Correct. 4. So on the average, well done.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for, well, actually, just to mention that, got a couple of cricket ones wrong, but the rugby ones and the athletics, got them. So, well done. Thanks so much for chatting to me today. I think just to end off, if there's anything else you'd like to add?
No. I hope cricket does well, and I hope girls cricket perform as well.
I think that's a hope we all share. And at Supersport Schools, we're hopefully giving more and more people their time to shine. And we're going to be following the story of Middelburg, following the season. So all the best of luck with that and with the Mpumalanga Championship.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of the Supersport Schools podcast brought to you by Spur. They're new episodes every Sunday at 6 p.m. And this entire Women's Month, we're focusing on women's and girls sport. So make sure you check out some of our other content on Supersport Schools social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Just search Supersport Schools. I'll see you next time. For now, bye-bye.
This has been the Supersport Schools podcast, bringing you stories of our future stars, powered by Spur Steak Ranches.
And now the podcast from Joy